Great. Thank you so much, John and Linda. So we have a PowerPoint presentation, but one thing I realized with PowerPoint is that it does not accept having such a map on it. So I will share the PowerPoint presentation on email. But for now, let me just do the introductory bit using this map because it is the most important bit of our presentation. This is a map of the Maasai Mara area, which is a map showing the Maasai Mara Reserve, and wherever it borders Tanzania on this side, and it borders Kisumu city on the north eastern bit. Then there is Transmara, which is Transmara North on the northwestern. So this is basically what the Maasai Mara looks like on the map. The placement is that Narok County is in the south of the Rift Valley. The Maasai Mara is a smaller part of the larger Narok County. Narok County has 7 sub-counties, including Narok North, Narok South, Narok West, and Narok Township. So the Maasai Mara lies in between Narok South and Narok West. It borders the Loita Forest and also parts of Transmara. So basically our focus initially was in Narok County, climate change effects on Narok County. There are 3 major components that we're going to be discussing in our presentation. Mainly there is the Maasai Mau Forest Complex, which is the source of most of the rivers that feed the Mara River. And then we have the Maasai Mara National Reserve, which is now home of the 7th wonder of the world, which is the wildebeest migration. So we are going to talk so much about wildebeest migrating into Serengeti and off Serengeti, and what climate change has done to affect the same wildebeest migration.
Kelvin, let me just ask you if you can enlarge I guess this is a Word document. If you can enlarge it a bit more, it's very hard to read.
Just can't words.
Is that better?
Well, let's see. We're not seeing written bit down at the bottom, but
does it work better that way?
That might be better, I think. Yes.
Okay. So, well, the Maasai Mara means Maasai is the dominant tribe in the Maasai Mara, and Mara means dotted, which refers to the acacia trees that dot the large savanna area. So I was able to check out on the population of Narok County compared to the population in the Maasai Mara, the size of Narok County, and also the size of the Maasai Mara. So it is about 1,510 kilometers squared, whereby 25,000 kilometers squared is where the conservation is. This is where the animals are roaming freely, and this is the national reserve where guests come to visit to see wildlife. So the main economic activities in Narok County include farming, whereby there is a lot of production of wheat, barley, vegetables, potatoes. There is minimal mining, whereby there are stones, ballast, and recently in Kilgore is about 111 kilograms of gold per annum. And then we have tourism as the second largest activity in Narok County, whereby there are curious spread around the towns, hotels, and some very beautiful scenery, including the Great Rift Valley and other very nice places. There is trade as well in the larger Narok County. There is business of selling the farm crops. There are sales of beaded ornaments and so much other trade within the larger Narok County. In Maasai Mara, we have 3 main activities. One of them is pastoralism, whereby the Maasai, who are the dominant tribe within Maasai Mara, are historically known to be pastoralists. So they earn their living from keeping cows, goats, and sheep. And they move from place to place in search of pasture and water. Like recently, I was all the way to Nakuru County in search of grass, but luckily it has come to rain so much. And then second to pastoralism, which is the basic economic activity of the Maasai, we have tourism. Tourism came into the Mara because of the wild beast migration, which attracted a very huge number of tourists from when the Maasai Mara was created in 2010. And since then, it has been managed by the former Narok Town Council, whereby they used to have rangers and a management team that overlooked the management of the National Reserve. And then when we got devolution, it transitioned now into Narok County government, where there are also channels of management, whereby there are those rangers and there is management. Community is involved in about 70% management of the park. They also get employment from the National Reserve. And most of the locals also get an opportunity to sell ornaments to the tourists and to interact also with the tourists. This has seen some schools get help from well-wishers. Some hospitals have been developed due to the interaction between tourists and the local community. So tourism has actually been of great help to the locals. But on the other hand as well, it is a blessing in disguise. Tourism has introduced people to quick money. It has led youth to engage in drug use and abuse. It has brought in prostitution into the Mara, whereby initially people didn't know such things. So it's both ways. Then we have trade as well. In the Maasai Mara, there is a lot of business in terms of hotels and lodges. We have several that I mentioned, like Sarova, Kiko, Sopa, Basecamp. There are so many. Most of them are actually around the reserve, but there are a few that were put inside the Maasai Mara National Reserve. So the reserve runs within, it goes through Mara River, there's Marasiria Escarpment, and other small rivers like Talek River and around the villages. So tourists have made it necessary for both locals and migrants to seek opportunities to have a shared currency exchange, to sell of commodities, to sell of regalia, beaded ornaments. Mostly the trade between locals and tourists has really made the area to thrive. There are so many small shopping centers that have sprouted on Maasai Mara. These small centers also house non-locals who come into the Mara, maybe as professionals who come to repair vehicles in case of breakdowns. We have hotel personnel. We have people like carpenters. We have masons. So basically, having tourism and within the area has brought growth in terms of modernization, or what we call globalization. So most of the centers have been developed to necessitate to give housing to the people who are working there, and also to ensure that there is a place to accommodate other guests who cannot afford the hotels and lodges. The same also, so trade has enabled the local community to have a market for their produce. Most of the women who make beaded ornaments are unable to find markets outside. So they depend on tourism to also sell the same. So up to there, probably if there is any question or concern. So any question?
Kelvin, I think we'll wait for questions to come up in the dialogue itself. So thank you for that introduction. I mean, that's a great overview of Maasai Mara, which some of us know well, actually. And in any event, so why don't you just continue, and then questions may come up during the dialogue.
No problem. Okay, now I was also able to look at the effects of climate change on the Maasai Mara ecosystem. And this is divided into the three major economic activities within the Maasai Mara. So what are the effects of climate change on the basic activity of the Maasai, which is pastoralism? So This has actually had a long-term effect on the livelihoods of the Maasai from a very long time ago. And since they have a culture of indigenous knowledge about the environment and how they used to monitor and predict climate cycles through observation of behavioral characteristics of biological components. And, like we used to look at the offals when you slaughter a goat and you look at the offals, the elders will tell probably when next there will be rainfall. There is a pattern that they will look at, and that will tell them maybe in a week or so, we are expecting rainfall. Drought, in the same way, also was able to be predicted through the use of looking at animal hair and looking at parts of the interior part of a slaughtered goat or a cow. So such knowledge has actually become problematic because right now, when you slaughter a goat and you read the offals, it actually goes, it doesn't get the results because patterns have really changed. The time when it used to rain has changed now. When drought started initially, this has really changed over the past 20 to 30 years. So, which is making it difficult to predict any rainfall or drought, whereby it's making the community to be gotten off guard. And then the pastoral mobility, which is the biggest strategy the Maasai have on coping with drought, is now being affected by the fact that land was demarcated and everybody is now in their own parcel of land. They have fenced off a lot of land for conservation or for personal use. So now it's difficult to get a place to move to, and that is why we have to move into other counties or probably to actually look for ways to mitigate drought within the small parcel of land that somebody has. The effects on tourism. What has climate change done to tourism? So when there is little pasture for cows outside the reserve, then the Maasai feed their animals within the national reserve. So these animals go in to feed with elephants and lions, putting both the people who had the animals and also the animals themselves at risk, because they are wild animals in the reserve walking freely. And so this first brings in a conflict between the humans and wildlife. When a lion kills a cow, obviously the Maasai will retaliate and kill the lions. So, so climate change has actually led to human wildlife conflict because of looking for grazing land and water points. The second thing is that the food chain is destabilized by drought, whereby when drought comes in and these people feed their animals in the park, then it means that wildlife will have to overflow into the communal land. When this happens, then it means that the community will have a problem because some animals will go and kill people outside there, they will kill animals, they will destroy property. And then this now fuels again the conflict between the animals and the local community. And then poor infrastructure and road network because of floods and inconsistent rainfall, whereby sometimes it rains so much, then sometimes there is no rain. This leads to erosion of parts of the roads, which at times has led to cancellation of trips because of impassability of the roads. And which affects the local community, because when there is no tourism, which is the second biggest economic activity within the Maasai Mara, then it means that there will be an economic problem within the Maasai Mara. So what are the measures? What can be done about this? Apart from looking at the problems, I also looked at what are the possible solutions to these problems. One of the things is implementation of policies. Kenya in general, and then down to the county government, they have very, very good policies on paper. So if these policies are implemented, because when they were being developed, there was very goodwill, there was consideration of so many things to come up with the policies, then it means that if these policies are implemented and they look at the recommendations that were done over the last 20, 30 years, then this is something that can ensure that wildlife is conserved, and they will control the improvement of livestock in the wildlife habitat. Then this will reduce the human wildlife conflict. Awareness, creating awareness within the community to ensure that the community is aware of the benefits of conserving wildlife, and ensuring that also when the community is being sensitized, they are also benefiting. Right now, there are conservation agencies that are within the larger Maasai Mara. There are NGOs, there are conservation organizations which do not benefit the local community. And if there is no community participation, then the community will not take responsibility for conserving the ecosystem or conserving wildlife. Another possible solution would be to create alternative livelihoods for the locals. Introduction of agropastoralism, which has been done initially, introducing the sack gardens, small parcels of land within their enclosures, can be used to grow some simple foods for a household. There is value addition. There are animals, instead of keeping breeds that really cannot withstand low levels of drought, then they could have better breeds of animals so that they can actually go through some periods of drought. And then also things like beekeeping. There is a lot of trees in the Mara. So if the community is empowered to engage in beekeeping, then that will be an alternative source of livelihood. So the other option is tree planting. This one will help in the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, and also will ensure that there is enough food for animals like elephants, and improving tree cover so that it will protect biodiversity to get into future generations, so that people can get this very good ecosystem going on. Lastly, passing the mantle, teaching the children on how to engage in conservation, and also to be custodians of conservation. This one will ensure that generations to come are involved in conservation of both the animals and the ecosystem. So I got a few references as well, and that is all. Thank you so much.